everyone, you are listening to the Manifesting Straight Talk podcast, and I'm your host, Rachel Chamley. I'm a mindset and manifesting coach from the UK, and I am here to ignite that fire inside of you. If you are a female entrepreneur or change maker, or just a woman that is wanting more from life, then you are in exactly the right place. I am going to give you my no-nonsense, straight-talking advice to manifesting and show you how to take your life to that next level. So if you're ready, dive in now. Hi everyone, welcome to this week's podcast episode. This week, I want to dive into that abundant mindset, and I want to clear some stuff that we are carrying around our debts. Now, you might be thinking, oh my God, talking about debts, and you might suddenly go into cringe mode because that's where you're at the minute, and that's fine. But I'll share my story around debt and the things that I've overcome, and hopefully I'll give you some pointers to start to get you into the mental space to start clearing the energy that you have around it. So when we are thinking about debts, money comes to us in the path of least resistance. Now, I want you to get that clear on that. Money is constantly trying to flow to you. Money is always wanting to help, support. It's always wanting to be there. But it comes to us in the path of least resistance, which means it comes to us in the way that we are programmed to think that it's going to come to us. So if you've been brought up to think money has to come from a job, or money can only come from a job or debts, then how is money going to get through to you? Money is going to come and support you through the path of least resistance. It isn't suddenly going to come up in a check of £100,000 through the post, because your mind will go, well, this is a scam. It's not for me. Where's this coming from? Because your mind is programmed to believe has to come from a job or it has to come from debts. Can't just magically come through the post in a check. So you've got to look at your own programming around your money and your money story. Why do you believe it can only come from a job? Is there people in this world who are only purely making money from a job? Is that happening? Is that true? Or is that just what you believe because that's all you have known, your family's known, so you have been told that? And now this has become so intrinsically part of you that that's all you're allowing in, because that's the way, that is all you are allowing in. That's it. Now, when it comes to debts, we are thinking it has to come from a job or it has to come from debts. That's the only way we can start to make money. And them debts are them dirty word that we don't like to talk about, and the thing that we shouldn't really have. So we punish ourselves when we do have it, and we make ourselves feel bad, and we make ourselves feel worthless. And then we think, why the hell have we done this? We've overspent. So for me personally, I've come through lots of different periods where I have really, really struggled with debt. And in my past, I was on a debt management plan. I literally struggled with money. I wanted to have nice things. I wanted to live a life that at the time I couldn't afford to live. But at the time, I really, really did want to live, because it was through personal circumstances. It wasn't as what I seen as my fault as to why things weren't going the way that they should be. So I had so much built up around debt. I had these big desires at that time. I've always had these like callings, these things to do. Like, it's always been there. This bigger life has always been niggling in my mind. And I just thought it was greed. I just thought it was like, I shouldn't really want this stuff. And I built up this resistance around, I shouldn't really want this. I'm being greedy. I'm being selfish. And then the other side of me, the reckless side, was like, yeah, let's just do it. Let's just do it. And over time, I would build up these debts. And then at one point when things happened in my relationship, we weren't able to pay things back. And that was when the debt management plan came in. So that's when my mind kicked in again and went, you failed. You shouldn't have done this. You're naughty. That's what my mind was saying. You are naughty. And, you know, this is where we get to sometimes. We are punishing ourselves because not because of the debt, because of the way we are looking at the debt. Now, let me explain this. I've done so much work around my abundance, and I've done so much work around my money and cleaning up my money relationship, really getting my money to a point where it supports me. I love it. Money loves me. It's such a nice relationship to have. Like any relationship, we should work on it. So what I had to do around my debts is I had to shift my mentality around it. I had to say, I was always supported. I was always given exactly what I needed. I was always given my desires. The universe always had my back. The thing was, I had to see it as the only way it could come through was this job I have, or it had to come in the form of debt. There was no other possibility. The universe was able to deliver this to me because my mind would not let me see it. My mind could not comprehend that it could come from any other form. So it was this job which I felt stuck in. So there was no pay rise coming. There was no, way to move forward. So it had to come from the debt. So because I had these desires, and because these desires were linked to where I was meant to be going, the universe delivered. The universe gave me an option to pay things over time. And listen to that, to pay things over time. It gave me the choice. It gave me the choice to go, do I want to pay this in full or do I want to pay this over time? And some of the times I could pay things in full, but I chose to pay it over time. But then my ego would kick in and say, well, you did that wrong. You did that wrong. So it's this dynamic between the universe constantly had my back. The universe constantly brought me a channel of money. The universe constantly brought me money to pay for the things that I wanted to pay for. The money was always there. We just call it debt. We call it something different. Our minds make it dirty. But actually, it was money. It was abundance. It was flowing to me. It was always there. I was always supported in every shape and form. The only thing that stopped me from being able to be in a position to keep that flow going, keep that channel open, keep things really in a good place that, at the end of the day, we can have debts and we can pay them and they don't matter. They're just something that we pay regular, and that's fine. That's okay. But the thing that got me in the state where I felt bad about them and things started to spiral and things started to go was my mindset. I started to think I needed to pay these debts off. I needed to do this. I needed to be in a position which what made that happen in my mind, my manifestation, I was telling myself constantly that I didn't have enough. Because I was constantly fixed on, I want to pay these debts off and I don't have the money to do that now in full. That was the expectation I was putting on myself. It wasn't that I couldn't pay them off monthly. It was that I couldn't pay them off in full. So my mind said there was a lack. My mind said you don't have enough. So the universe gives you where you're focusing, it gives you your thought pattern. So it was creating not having enough. And that was what was happening. So really, it's about shifting the mindset. And once I shifted the mindset, I started to free myself from these situations. So thinking about debt, you might be doing this now. You might be thinking, I have £10,000 on a credit card and I really want to get rid of it. I hate having that money on a credit card. It's horrible. Can't stand it. What you're concentrating on is paying that debt. Now, there is absolutely no point in your body that really wants to pay that debt. When you think about paying that debt, you are thinking about restriction. You are thinking about having to scrimp and save. You are thinking about putting money to something that actually you don't even want to pay off. Because when you pay that off, it means that you can't spend on all the things that you desire. It means that you can't actually go for that new course, or you can't get that car, or you can't, whatever it is for you, whatever it is, you're thinking, I can't do that because I have to be paying this. I have to do this. I should do this. So you are putting that level of resistance into your debt. You are making it something dirty, making it something low vibrational. You're saying it's a should. You're saying it's something that you have hanging over your head. And what that is creating is that feeling of lack, that feeling of resistance. You do not have that money. You do not have that extra. So when we're thinking about our debts, and what we should be thinking about is not thinking about the debt. At the end of the day, you've got that money sat on a credit card, you're paying it off monthly. It is not harming you in any way, shape, or form. Other than you in your head punishing yourself, it is not harming you at all. So let's be honest, is that harming you? Yes, no. So where you need to focus your attention is the overflow of money, having extra money every single month so you can do whatever the hell you want with it. You can save it, you can lend it, you can give it to people, you can do whatever the hell you want with that overflow. That is where you want, that is your desire, that is really what you want. And that's what you're saying when you say that you want to pay off the debt. You want to have that money extra in your bank, don't you? You want to have that money where you are not paying that to a credit card. So you want that extra money. So detach yourself from the thought of what you are paying off with it and just bring in that feeling of overflow, bring in that feeling of having more money than you know what to do with. That is where your focus goes. That's what excites you. Just think about that now. Think about having more money than you know what to do with, and it comes easy every month. You know it's going to be there. You know it's there. You know it gets more and more every single month, and you don't even know how. You don't know where it's coming from, but you're just loving it, and it's flowing in, and it's easy, and it's bright, and it's fun, and you get to do all the things that you love. You get to go all the places. You get to buy all the things, experience so much. And it's just easy, and it's just light, and it's flowing, and it's coming all the time. And this is what life should be like. This is how abundance wants to flow to you constantly. This is your natural state, and you are worthy of it. So this is where you need to be focusing your attention on this flow, on this overflow, because then what happens is suddenly you've got all this money. You can pay off whatever the hell you want. You can give it to charity. You can give it to friends. You can give it to family. It doesn't even matter. Your debts won't even be a flicker in your eye, because ultimately you have overflow. You have more than enough to do more than what you want. So can you see the shift on going, I should be paying this, to actually, I'm focusing my energy on what I desire, my overflow, my manifestations, that amazing life. This is where I'm focusing. This is where I'm thinking, like, money gets easier and easier for me every single month. Money just flows in all the time, and I don't even know where it comes from. Like, literally, that is such a different vibration. And that is how you start to shift things and make things easier. And then if you want to pay the debts, then you pay that. And let's stop calling it debts, because that is such an ugly word. Call it your flow of abundance that you chose to pay over time. Abundance came in and give you an option to do a payment plan. That is all it is. Abundance flowed into you and give you the option to get your desire now and pay it over time. That is exactly what the debts have done. They flowed in, give you your desire now, rather than saying you have to wait. It just gave you it, made it possible, and you just chose to pay it over time. That is what your debts are. And how incredible is that feeling? So that's a big one. So make sure you're focusing on the right thing. We're focusing on the overflow. We're changing our language around the debt. We're changing our perspective around the debt, because that's all it is. It's a mindset shift. Now, lastly, and this one's a big one, I want you to get really, really clear on this, because this is where we get tripped up. Now, I want you to think about all the amazing things that you were able to buy with them credit cards or loans or student loans and all of that stuff, all that incredible stuff that you were able to do and have and be. And then tell yourself you're worthy of it. Tell yourself you were worthy of each and every thing on that list. Because this is where we seem to doubt. When we buy things over time, we get them desires now, Our old inner critic likes to tell us, well, because you weren't able to pay in full, that means you didn't really deserve it, did you? You weren't meant to have it. You weren't meant to have that thing, but you were. You are worthy of your desires. You are worthy of absolutely everything in this world. You are so worthy. Everything on that list was for you. Everything on that list was meant for you. Whether it was a nice new kitchen, whether it was a nice new car, whether it was an education, whatever it was for you, it was meant for you, and you are worthy of it. So stop doubting yourself that you've spent money on something that you weren't meant to have. You were always meant to have that thing. You were always meant to be in this place, and you were probably meant to be listening to this podcast to get you in the right space so that you could just be at peace with it all. So please, you are worthy of it. You are worthy of if you want to go and put a £5,000 bag on a credit card. You are worthy if you want to go and buy a new car. You are worthy. You are allowed to want these desires. You are allowed to have these desires. And you know it's not always about the material things. It could be about the education. You could be stopping yourself currently by buying something that you know is going to give you the most amazing transformation, but you're going, well, I can't pay in full, so I can't have it now. Like, really? Really? You're going to stop yourself becoming the best version of you because you're saying you have to, because of these stupid rules that you have in your life, have to do it this certain way. Whereas you are always supported, you are always divinely guided to your place where you should be. And I've just went through this. So I have literally just been through this whole process myself. So there was this course that come on. I've been following this coach, absolutely love her. There's something about her just gets me deep inside, and it was like she was talking to me. And this course come out, and it's exactly what I've been working towards. And I'm like, right, that is for me. So there was an option to pay it in a full payment or pay it in installments. Now, I really wanted to pay it in full. I was like, I just want to pay this in full. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And I had it in my mind, and I was like, I can't do it. I can't do it if I can't pay it in full. And then I was like, what are you doing? You could easily buy that now. You just pay it over time. You buy that today, you can have that today. You pay it over time. And I kept thinking, and I kept saying, the money's like coming, the money's there, the money's coming through. And you know what? It was so funny. It was like something was saying no, like something in the universe was going, just pay the payment plan. Just buy the payment plan. I was adamant. I was like, no, I want to pay in full. I want to do it this way. And I was just stopping myself. What am I doing? This is crazy. So I signed up to the payment plan because I thought, this is my desire. This is my next step. This is my upgrade. This is my up level. Why the hell am I letting this bullshit mindset stuff stop me? So I signed up. I got the payment plan, chose to pay over time, and I signed up. And it felt amazing. There was a bit of me like, oh, I'm gutted I couldn't have paid because, you know, there was a bit of a saving. So I was like, what am I doing? Like, I'm signing up to this course knowing that this is an up level, this is an expansion, this is the next version of me. The money matches that. Do you think I'm going to be worried about this on a payment plan? Do you really think that's going to be the option that I'm looking at where I can afford to pay it now? So why would I be worrying when I'm up leveled about paying it then? Like, Rachel, you're being crazy. And I know you guys are going through these same dilemmas as well. So literally, I did it. I signed up, got the payment plan. The next day, I got a full payment from a client in full, which would have cleared the whole balance of the pay in full. But do you know what? That would never have flown in if I hadn't have opened the door. If I hadn't have went, yes, and stayed in this resistance, stayed in this lack, stayed in that version of me that said I wasn't worthy because I couldn't pay in full, that would never have flown in. that would never have just opened up. So you've got to stop thinking from you 5 years ago. You've got to stop looking at your debts like, oh, you shouldn't be doing that. And yes, I'm not advocating debts here, but I'm advocating thinking about them properly so that you're not in resistance and lack. You can have debts, you can have lots of debts, and you can still be abundant as fuck. Like, let's be honest. So please stop holding yourself back from your old religious ways of looking at the world. Debt has flown into you because it was the only way that you were gonna allow that money in. So thank the universe for always supporting you. These are my top tips. Really thank the universe for supporting you for every single bit of debt that it's brought into your life, because what it's done, it's given you an avenue to be able to pay something over time. It's given you an avenue to have them desires today. So thank you very much. Always support me, always giving me what I want, always, always, always looking after me. Now, the next thing, change your language around debt. Debt is not something dirty. Debt is not something that we shouldn't have. We wouldn't have mortgages. We wouldn't have houses. Like, come on, people. Let's get to grips with debt. It's like a mortgage is all right, but a credit card's not. Come on. Let's stop judging it. Let's stop thinking it. It's just a way for money to come into you. It's been a way of your least resistance. So let's stop bad-mouthing debt. Let's look at it for what it's given you. Let's look at it for all of them amazing things that it's brought into your life. Let's look at it for all them desires that it's allowed you to have, that education, that car, that whatever it is. Like, them things were meant to get you to where you're meant to be. So stop bad-mouthing it. Lastly, you are worthy of every single piece of debt that you have. You are worthy of every single thing that you bought on them credit cards, that you bought on them loans. You are worthy of each and every one of it. Stop saying that you're not. You were meant to have them desires. There is no question of it. You were meant to have them desires. You were meant to have them desires. I will say that again. And you are meant to have even more. Imagine when you release that block of this resistance, this bad energy around it, you are meant to have even more. Like, yes, even more. So let that sink in. You are meant to have even more. Now, this one's been an interesting one because this has been something that's crippled me for years. And now I'm in such a good place around my money and my mindset around it and my abundance and my debts and the feeling towards it and all the stuff, the amazing stuff that it's brought me. So thank you for having the chance to get my desires, and thank you for paying over time. That is something that's brought me so much joy. And as well, by paying things over time, it allows me to bring in more desires. It allows me to have the freedom and the flow to go, well, I'm not just restricted to paying this. Like, I can do so much more. I have that overflow. I have that sense of abundance all the time. So stop restricting yourself. I am not saying going into shitloads of debt and then go, universe, just pay it for me. That is not the way. Like, be sensible about this stuff, but get your mindset to a place where you know you are in your best possible space, whatever that looks like. And that's the thing, it can be different for everyone. It doesn't have to be one fits all. So stop giving yourself the hang-ups. Stop thinking you're a bad person. Stop thinking you are naughty, because you're not. So let all this go. Get your mindset into abundance. Get focused on your overflow and let that all come in. Focusing on debt and paying it all off and the shoulds and all that stuff is not going to give you more money to pay off them debts. So start to shift money to where you want. And this might be a controversial one for a lot of you, and I hope it does trigger some things in you so that you can start to assess the way that you look at things and start to assess, is that right, or is it just what I've been taught? And any more information, if you want any more guidance on this one, please reach out. I talk about money all the time because it is not a dirty word. It is not a dirty word. It brings you choice. It brings you freedom. It brings you so much good stuff. And people with money who are heart-centered need to be running this world. So let's just blanket sweep. Money is good. Money is love. Money is amazing. And I hope you enjoyed it. And please join me in the Manifesting Straight Talk Facebook group, where we'll chat more about this one. All right, see you then. Bye. I'm Rachel Chamley, and you've been listening to the Manifesting Straight Talk podcast. If you're not already following me on social media, make sure you come and find me on Instagram. I'm at Rachel Chamley, or come and join the Manifesting Straight Talk Facebook group. All my details are in the show notes, so you can catch me there. But I hope you've been left feeling inspired after this podcast. It was so much fun. Join me next time for another episode of Manifesting Straight Talk.